Okay. Hi.
Hi.
So my name is Lindsay Dragon, and I know my name is showing up as Kristen Hoffman here on the screen, but that is our director at the Autism Center at Misericordia University. But I will be running this parent interview for bilingual families and autism with a parent, Madeline. How are you today?
I am great, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to have this interview. I think it's very important to let other families know that there are other families out there who speak Spanish for a lot of the, primary first language for the family. And I've run into you and others at several events. And so when we thought about this topic, I instantly thought of you because the first time I met you, it was you, your husband, your two kids. Now you have three, but two kids at the time. And there was another family member with you that time. Do you remember who it was?
Yes, but I don't know her name.
That's okay. It was, I thought it was maybe a mother-in-law or an aunt that came up to that office with you.
Oh, with me? Oh, yeah. That was my mother.
Okay, so that was your mom. All right. And from what I gathered at the time, you were really the only member of the family that was speaking English. Is that correct at that time? Like that was
My husband speaks English, but not that well.
right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm the one.
Well, and I see you guys at all the events, and so I was wondering, it's hard enough as a parent myself to a 6-year-old with autism to navigate this world. I can only imagine having, some further barriers and, trying to explain things when it may not be easily understood because I don't understand it in English. So a lot of these things are just questions that I would have on my own. And then, I can only imagine if those barriers are, higher for somebody who may not have that as their first language. Um, so where are you from originally?
I'm from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay. And how long have you been in Pennsylvania?
It's been around mm, 6 years now.
Okay. And before you came here, did you speak English often in Puerto Rico, or did you come straight to Pennsylvania from Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I came straight to Pennsylvania. I didn't speak English very well, like just yes, no, thank you. Yeah, stuff like that.
So that must have been very interesting after you had your oldest son and you started to notice things may be a little different. Tell me about that.
So when he was like a year and a half, I took him to the doctor and he started asking me questions about is he talking? He's doing his milestone, and I was like, no, now that you're mentioning, like he's not where he's supposed to be. So I started with early intervention. They started coming home, and they did the that's the thing that they do, the evaluation.
Yeah.
And he told me, yeah, that he is not fluent, like he wasn't talking fluently, and so he had what's the name? He had help
Delays
for
or
speaking, yeah, and cognitive and couple of stuff.
okay. So you started out with early intervention. That's exactly where I started. And once I, being that as your first child, as it was mine, I was really nervous. And, my kids are 2 years apart, and I think yours are
Yeah, it's like that. 2 years too.
very similar. So we both had newborns,
Yes,
and we were trying to figure out how to be a parent to our first child
yes.
because I don't know if you felt the same way, but I felt that it was very challenging when I felt like I was doing everything wrong for the first one, and here I already had a second one.
It was really hard, yeah, because I we were always worried like he's gonna be like Diego, he's gonna be autistic too. Like maybe it's something that I have or something that you have. And yeah, and with the language thing, it was hard too because it was something completely new. Like autistic is completely new in the family.
Right.
Plus, it has to be in English, everything. So it was really hard.
I can't even imagine. Did you guys shy away from anything because there wasn't anybody there to explain it? Not shy away, that's maybe not the correct. Do you find that events weren't very friendly to Spanish speaking families once you first started to attend?
Yes, everything was in English. Yeah, with everybody that I talked, was everything was in English.
Right. I can't imagine because, you're not from here.
Hmm.
You haven't been here that long, because if it was 6 years ago, that's
Yeah.
pretty much right when you had, your son.
Hmm.
So I felt very alone. And I have family here, not all of my family because I'm from the Midwest, but, you know, when you're the only one you don't have anybody to ask really. Nobody in our family had autism, interactions either. But again, I feel for you because I recognize from our very first meeting how different and difficult it must be.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever use a translator for anything?
Um, I
A
use my phone.
human translator.
Oh, you know, when he first started early intervention in the house, she was bilingual.
Oh,
She's
okay.
Mexican American, so she speaks English, Spanish too. So she helped me with that a little bit.
Okay. Well, that's good. But
Yeah.
early intervention only goes for so long, right?
Yeah.
So, and early intervention, they don't really accompany you to any other evaluations.
No. No,
So
it's just that hour that I have with you.
it's an
Okay.
hour a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you have any trouble expressing your needs for your kiddo when it came to the doctors and or like schools or any daycare type situations? Was that any obstacle for you?
Oh, sometimes some words that I couldn't say right in communication, But yeah, sometimes I had to use my phone and use the translator. It will be
So
easier.
Google, right?
Yeah, Google. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, well, I really, you know, I've come across this a few times in my current job. My last job was at a school for kids with autism, and we did have students there whose families really only spoke Spanish, but it was very difficult. There wasn't anybody in the facility that could speak Spanish. So for a school, now here's the next thing. You're sending your child to a school in Northeast PA, so they're going to have to learn English.
Yes.
But you're at home. Do you guys speak Spanish most of the time?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can't imagine my son. He's just trying to get out any words. I don't care if they're English or Spanish, right? But that's got to be so confusing for him too.
Yes.
Uh, has he shown any troubles with, the difference between the two languages?
So when everything started at 1 year something, everybody was telling me that it might be because we speak Spanish most of the time, and he watched television in English and read books in English, and it was like a mix of both languages.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped talking to him in Spanish to see if he will be if he will talk more, in English.
Right.
He had all his therapy were in English, and everything was in English. So I was like, okay, let's try this, and it worked.
It did.
Now
Well, that's good.
it would work. Now I'm trying to implement the Spanish, and it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So yeah,
Did you guys ever try any sign language before he was speaking?
yeah. At
Is
first,
go ahead.
sorry. At first, yeah. The teacher told me that he was learning some language, sign language, and I started learning them too, and it was working
Well,
good.
that's
Yeah,
good.
it was working too.
I know that there's different types of sign language, but to teach a child that English and Spanish, I'm assuming they taught him ASL, American Sign Language. So I I don't even know how that would work in a different language. Was that even an option?
I'm not sure.
I know. I don't. Now that I didn't think about that question ahead of time, so I apologize. um. So, have you gone to visit the school that he's going to be registered in?
Not yet because of the COVID-19.
Okay, so that means you have more time then, right? Because he
Yes,
hasn't started kindergarten yet, right?
not yet.
Okay. So when you go on that tour, if you're going to, check out, the settings and how they're going to accommodate him, are you comfortable going just, without a translator or anything like that? And or would you be comfortable getting all your needs across and, answering anything that they would be able to have ready for you on your trip?
Um, Couple of years ago, I will say I'm not comfortable, but
Okay.
now I've been learning English like a lot, so now I can defend myself more than
Okay.
before and understand. But I will say now that I could be by myself. Yeah, it will
Okay. Well,
be.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I have my babysitter is majoring in Spanish in Miami, and I had originally asked her to assist me with this topic. Um, and she was very comfortable doing it as she lived in Peru for a year. She travels abroad all the time. She's translated for families for me before. I mean, she's like 20, 21 years old. So I'm like really excited for her. But she said to me, I don't know if I'm the right person because the medical terminology is a course she hadn't taken yet. And to relay things as because an autism diagnosis is a medical diagnosis, is the medical terminology, it's hard for me to understand.
Yes.
How do you, we just did an IEP panel on Wednesday, and I've agreed to things in his evaluations that I didn't really know what they meant, but it sounded good. I was like, yeah, okay. Have you come across that with the language barrier?
Yes, a lot, and it's really hard because that terminology is like a second language. So
Right.
English plus that is like, oh my God, really hard.
Do you know any other families that their first language is Spanish whose kids have autism?
Yes.
And do you guys have any support among each other, or is that something that you'd be looking for?
We talk like every week. She lives in
Good.
Hazleton. And but she speaks very well English. She's been living here forever. So
Good.
yeah. And yeah, we talk sometimes.
Oh, that's good. I feel much happier now because to know that, you know, it was completely new for me, but, you know, I can understand, you know, pretty much everything that they're telling me. Actually doing it and continuing the therapies and all the new stuff that's always thrown at us. You should try this, you should try that, you should try this. It's like, wait, what? So I feel for you because we go to all the same things, and it never occurred to me, you know, what if I was there and it was all in Spanish? I would be like, what? I don't know what to do here. So I know a lot of times people have been referred down to the Hazleton area autism centers simply because they have a much larger Spanish speaking community. And have you ever been to any events down in Hazleton for autism?
I used to live there in
Okay.
Hazleton, and when he first started the therapy, yeah, she was a mix, like I said, of Spanish and from here.
Okay.
And yeah, and she was the only one. Everybody else was speaking in English, and it was about the same, I would say, because I didn't see anyone else like Spanish over there.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I know one thing as a family with a child with autism, we tend to stay at home because it's very difficult to plan a trip because Jackson likes his routine. You know, we tell him what we're doing, and it's just a lot easier to not overstimulate him and, you know, work with behaviors a lot. Like I would say, what a typical family week would be, we stay at home so much more than that. So I'm assuming that other families that I've talked to have said the same. And is that the same thing with you guys? Do you guys tend to stay home a lot more? Not because of the, you know, language barriers or anything like that, but simply because one of your kids has autism?
Yes. Just not to make a scene outside, and he's more relaxed in here. Like you said, he have a routine, he follows, and he likes it. You know, and if we move him out of that routine, is tantrums here, tantrums there, and yeah, it's a lot more easier.
Yeah, we were both at music lessons, right? And both of our kids were out of their routine. So you and I were just talking, and they were just not having it.
Yeah. That's it.
And but it is so nice to see a familiar face when you go somewhere. And I was you know, a lot of things have come up with the, you know, with, you know, somebody learning English or somebody learning Spanish to help that communication. Have you been given anything that was specifically related to autism, but it was completely written in Spanish? Like a brochure?
Let me see. I would say no. I don't recall nothing. Yeah, in Spanish.
Right. That's okay. I was that was something I just threw out there, not on my prepared list of questions here. Because I think that's something that I would like to see happen to help families in our area, because that is something I've come across multiple families myself just from being in the same places as other families with autism. So we're always around each other. And I think that maybe we can, if there's any questions that anybody has, we can definitely zero in on those and get those answers for anybody who's looking for them, including yourself.
Thank you.
Okay. And I know that there's some families who have some older kids whose parents are mostly Spanish speaking, but their kids all speak English as their first language. So I would be interested to see how some of those families can, mingle and mix. If there were some questions about some of the medical terminology in particular with autism. If there were families who think that they might need to get their kids, evaluated for autism, do you have any advice for those families who are either thinking about, getting tested or have just recently been diagnosed with autism?
At first, it's gonna be everything really new and scary, but there's help out there. Like in here, Pennsylvania, we have a lot of help, and not to worry. Like everything's gonna be alright.
And that's something that, I'm a high-strung individual. I go a little, I get a little anxiety ridden. So that's good advice for me to take. That isn't just for anybody who speaks Spanish. But yeah, that's definitely, everything will be okay. It is not a death sentence.
No.
There's tons of other people out there in your same situation, and you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's good. Do you think you have 2 other children? Have you seen any signs of autism in your middle child?
Not so far. He's
Not
doing
so
far. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
I was always nervous at every evaluation, and people were asking me all the time, well, what do you think with that one? And I'm like, we're fine, So it's just always interesting to see how others go with it. Well, is there anything else that you think that, families whose first language is Spanish, anything else that could help them, or are you pretty content with the way things have gone so far with this interview?
Now if you're out there and you need help with English or like terminologies or other stuff related to autism, like to look for help. Like there's always an option. Like you're not alone, like you said. I don't know. And they are pretty cute kids. Like I love all.
Your kids are gorgeous.
Yeah. They are, yeah. I don't know. I love them.
Yes. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time. And it wasn't just this time. We've been in contact for quite a while, as far as this goes. So I appreciate you answering all my questions, double checking all my Spanish.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'm thinking that if we come across any questions, if I were to have you help me translate in the future, yeah, that'd be fantastic. So, all right. Well, we don't have any questions left. This went kind of fast. So it's Sunday evening. I'll let you get back to your wonderful family. You're outnumbered, right?
Yeah.
3 boys and the husband there. So, all right. Well, have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.